Currently, right now, based off what I saw, so the culprit is Benjamin Erickson is his name. Apparently, this is a guy from Wisconsin. He went to University of Wisconsin Madison. He's an alumni for there. He's been in the U.S. Army before. It seems like he was doing cyber warfare as well. Like it was not like regular army. He was doing like only like cyber stuff, but he definitely knows his way around a fucking gun. Being in the army, 24 years old. So apparently, he's been apprehended. So even with this situation, the reason why I even say all that kind of stuff first is because Rhode Island, is ranked 13th in terms of gun restrictions, meaning it's just 13th state nationally that has like the highest gun restrictions, California being number one, which is going to be relevant in a second. So you would think, in a place like Rhode Island, look, nobody can have a gun, basically. Really restricted gun laws. Nobody's allowed to gun. No, even on the Brown University campus, by the way, guns are completely banned, meaning nobody can have a gun, no students, no faculty, no contractors, nobody on the Brown University campus at the time when this occurred, which was 4 p.m. yesterday, like right as these people are having students are having exams and shit like that. No one on the campus has a gun. Nobody has a firearm at all. And the guy who came there was from fucking Wisconsin, and he came all the way to Rhode Island. You see? Because something that I want you guys to understand about this shit: criminals, maniacs, mass murderers, they don't give a fuck about any types of gun laws. And a lot of these maniacs, criminals, and mass murderers, what's really important to understand is that they're not idiots. I think people have this kind of assumption that mass murderers, mass shooters, they're like dumb and they don't plan or think strategically. Like if I want to go commit mass murder, am I gonna go to like fucking Texas that has like everybody walking around with a gun, everybody's walking around with a pistol? The minute I pull out my gun, I'm already shot in the head instantly because everybody's just itching to fire off their firearm because they have one to defend themselves, right? Am I going to go to a place like Texas if I want to go commit a mass murder and kill a bunch of people with a gun? No, I'm probably not. I'm going to go to a state like a Rhode Island, right? I'm going to go to a university campus like Brown University. I'm in a state already that has very strict gun laws, and then I go to a university campus where nobody on this fucking campus has a gun. Nobody has a gun. So if I want to unload my fucking clip on everybody, nobody's going to be able to fucking stop me because nobody has a gun here. In fact, I can go as far as shooting a bunch of people and even plan my fucking escape. Because by the time an officer even pulls up that has a firearm, I've already killed everybody I wanted to kill, and I could just run out of there. That's why it took about a day for them to even find a nigga, because there was nobody already to apprehend him or stop him or anything like that. Based off the videos I've already seen with what happened in Sydney, Australia, at Bondi Beach earlier this morning, because it's different for Australia time. So they even one of the guys that was shooting, there was a guy who pulled up on him and attacked him. This guy didn't even have a gun, because by the way, Australia has really strict gun laws too. Forgot to even mention that shit, because like I said, I'm gonna save the whole Australia thing to tomorrow, or that mass shooting till tomorrow. About 16 died, unfortunately. Rest their souls, of course. Like even there, they have really strict gun laws, so they were able to just be out there just shooting. And I'm telling you, that's how these maniacs think. They know nobody got a fucking gun. I'm going to be able to be firing off my fucking gun with impunity. So at least going back here to Brown University specifically, it's like when you have these really strict gun law areas, the only people that fucking listen are law-abiding people. People like me and you who are trying to be civil, right? We're like, okay, I'm living in a state. These got these strict gun laws. Okay, that's fine. I don't want to be, I have to go through all this shit just to be able to have a gun. It's like, okay, well, if I'm in an area and it's a low crime area, there's not a lot of gun violence there, and they say it's because of the restrictions. You would think it's because of the restrictions, but it's not really because of the restrictions, you know, because all it takes is for people to realize, hey, this is an area where nobody has a fucking gun. I'm a mass murderer. Let me go and shoot a bunch of people. So it might be a significant amount of time before anything really occurs. When there's all these gun restrictions, but eventually a mass killer is gonna fucking go there because he knows he could take advantage of the fact that nobody has a fucking gun. He can take advantage of the shit. And that's what these leftists and liberals don't fucking realize, because these niggas don't live in reality. They don't understand violence is real. They don't understand war is real. They don't understand murder is real. They don't understand that these things are real. Because Brett Smiley, his faggot ass, who's a gay guy, open gay mayor. Of course, he's already interested in all this leftist, liberal, deranged ideology. That's pretty much clear. So he wants his area to be nobody has a gun, guns kill people. We need to reform the guns, right? It's not people that kill people, it's the guns. The guns just get up on two legs and decide to just mass murder people. Like, are we actually dead ass? So we look at this situation, young guy, all the way from Wisconsin. He planned to come to Rhode Island, guys. He's from across the fucking country. And how are you, like, you're from Wisconsin. What the fuck are you doing in Rhode Island? He had planned this. That's what I'm trying to say. That's a strong conclusion I can make. I think it's reasonable for me to make that conclusion that he planned to go from Wisconsin to Rhode Island for a specific purpose. And he definitely, guys, this guy does cyber work for the military, or he did cyber work for the army. You think he couldn't do a quick Google search and just look, hey, what are Rhode Island's gun laws like? What is Brown University's gun rules like? Instantly. I'm telling you, this isn't like something that was highly sophisticated for him to do. He just had to go figure out, okay, nobody can defend themselves here. You know, I know for a fact I'm gonna go here and nobody's gonna be able to defend themselves. I can just start unloading on all these fucking kids at this college campus. Now 2 people are fucking dead, 9 people are injured because of gun restrictions. Because guns apparently, like, ensuring nobody has a fucking gun saves people, apparently. When you depower the heroes, you empower the fucking villains. When you depower the heroes, you empower the fucking villains, guys. You want your heroes to have weapons. That way, they can instantly subdue guys like this. Because I promise you, if guns were allowed on the Brown University campus, if Rhode Island didn't have all these gun restrictions, and he tried to do that shit, the minute he even pulls up his fucking gun, boom, shot in the head, done, dusted. Maybe shoots one person, max. Everybody turns around and pulls out their gun and shoots the fuck out of him. No thoughts, no questions asked. Because people are actually there that can defend themselves. You want to be giving good people weapons. You want to give your heroes weapons. You want to arm your heroes to the max. What happened at Brown University is negligence here. These deaths happen because of these gun restrictions, guys. I'm telling you guys right now. That's why they happened. It's because guns were restricted that this fucking happened. That 2 people lost their lives last night. That's why. It's not because the guns, people were prevented from having guns. It's because people didn't have guns, that they had to go run into these different classroom buildings or college buildings and be hiding in a barricade position and not know what the fuck is going to happen next, calling their families, texting their family members, not knowing what's going to happen next. Because not only do these college kids not have guns, no other faculty does. Guys, teachers, nobody. Any contractors on site, nobody has a gun. Only the assailant last night had the gun. Only Benjamin Erickson had a gun last night. Why do you guys think he was able to escape, guys? Like, he didn't even shoot himself. Because, you know, like, usually with these mass killers or whatever, they shoot a bunch of people and then they shoot themselves. That's usually what happens. That's usually what happens. They just shoot themselves. No one has a chance to figure out a motive or whatever. But this guy escaped, meaning he planned to come here, commit mass murder, and then leave. He had an intention to leave. I think there was even a video that I saw of him just casually walking around the campus post-shooting. He just, all right, shot my niggas, I'm going. Because almost like he's aware of the fact that he's not going to be in a lot of danger here. I'm telling you, this guy had foreknowledge that this area is super safe and nobody has a gun. Or safe in the sense of not really actually safe, not actually safe, not actually safe. Because there's nobody walking around that can stop somebody from doing some evil shit. So he just knows that there's nobody who's a threat to him. Because if you're committing mass murder, shooting people, you'd actually be running around, be thinking, you know, that somebody would be shooting back. You're like, damn, I just shot those people and nobody did shit to me. Because he knew Rhode Island had all these strong restrictions and nobody else has guns. Think about California on Black Friday in Santa Clara, California, at Valley Fair Mall. There was a shooting as well. California has the strictest gun laws in the entire United States. Strictest gun laws. At a mall, niggas just able to just open fire immediately with impunity and run away and everything like that. Everybody's running away from the mall. I think some of you guys maybe have heard of it. Maybe some of you guys didn't hear about it, but it happened on Black Friday in California. And nobody could just subdue the guy. It was just kind of like a juvenile. It was a younger guy who was just shooting, you know, at his ops. You know what I'm saying? Young niggas. Like, you shooting at your ops and shit like that. Like, shooting your ops. You're looking for his ops or whatever. But even still, he's able to just run around with a gun. Nobody would have been able to stop him if he kept shooting, by the way. He probably just let off 2 shots. You know, he's a juvenile. He's scared. He's not thinking about shit. But if this had been a grown individual who had done that in California, he would have been able to kill a bunch of people. And nobody would have been able to do shit. Why? Because nobody has a fucking gun. Except for fucking criminals. Except for people who don't care about the laws or rules or have the same morality as me and you. taking away good people's guns, ensure they fucking die. And you know what's so fucking funny about all these leftists and liberals, right? Is that they're the type to get really mad when with cats, for example. You know how like cats have their claws sharp. You know, if you niggas have been scratched by a cat, that bitch hurts, nigga. I'm like, okay, hold on, maybe we do need to declaw these niggas. But point is, you know, like they have sharp claws. So some people do if they have a cat as a pet, they'll declaw the cat to ensure that the cat can't like claw at anybody. But all these leftists and liberals be like, no, oh my god, you shouldn't do that to the cat. What's wrong with you? You can't do that. You're hurting the cat. You're preventing the cat from defending itself. So you can't do that because it needs to be able to defend itself. What if it goes outside and has to fight the other hood cats, the nigga cats, the nigga cats, the hood cats outside? What if it has to go and fight cats outside? It needs to be able to defend itself. It needs to be able to claw against the other cats, right? Isn't that correct? Because they understand if the cat doesn't have his claws, it can't fight. But for some odd fucking reason, when they think about a human being, and this is why a lot of these leftists and liberals are soulless, they don't live in what is real. They don't believe violence, war, and killing and murder is real. They don't believe people do that. They just think people are just, you know, they can be painted with every single way. It's because the gun did the shooting, apparently, not the person, the maniac who picked up the fucking gun and decided to go to a fucking university and shoot fucking people, knows the gun that did it. But when they look at human beings, they're like, oh, we can declaw humans though. We can take away human beings' ability to defend themselves against evil fucking people. We can just do that. And now innocent human beings get fucking hurt. And they're like, oh, well, it's because the gun still. Really? It's really because of the guns, even though you're in a state that has insane gun restrictions, even though they're on a university campus where nobody's allowed to have a gun, it's still the guns. Who are you really restricting here? It should be blatantly fucking obvious if you have a brain, but this is how the leftists and liberals are. This is how they think. They don't care about anything like this. This is why they let niggas just stab random white girls on trains. A nigga with 79 prior arrests. They let little white girls that are sitting on the train, you know, just minding their own business, boom, doused with fire, lit on fire. Oh, you know, he's just mentally crazy, whatever. Free him. Even though he's been arrested 79 times before, even though he's been arrested 65 times before, oh, it's completely okay. He didn't mean it, right? Even though he should be in fucking jail or executed live in front of everybody. Hell, if we started doing executions again, I'm telling you, because once again, I have to remind you guys of this. Maniacs and these schizos, they're still competent. They understand that they're doing something bad. They understand. They're narcissistic and crazy. Serial killers are like this too. There's a very intelligent serial killers. They know they're doing something wrong, but they just try to act like, oh no, it's because I'm schizophrenic or whatever. It's wrong what they're doing. They feel justified. They're competent. They're competent enough to stab somebody and know they just stabbed somebody. That takes competence. With what happened to Arania with DeCarlos Brown, you think that nigga didn't know he just stabbed a girl? Oh, he had a schizophrenic episode. He didn't know he just stabbed a girl and just looked at her. He didn't know like he what was just going on. I'm trying to tell you, these criminals, these mass murderers, they know what's going on. So I want you guys to really understand these niggas are not crazy. Crazy, and by crazy, they're immoral. That's the crazy thing. They don't, you know, they don't have a sense of morality like me and you. Crazy. They're not crazy in terms of competence and ability to complete a task. They can still do things. It takes a level of knowledge and skill to know to pour fucking gasoline on a girl and then light her on fire. That's not like something like you can't be an idiot. You can't be a retard to do that. Even if you're a maniac, that's taking some competence. When we say somebody's a maniac or they're crazy, it means that they just don't have the same morality as me and you. They don't think murder is wrong. They don't think killing is wrong. Serial killers are like this, right? So these leftists and liberals, for them, they're like, oh no, no, free everybody. Oh, it's the guns. Don't worry. People don't do evil shit. People aren't evil. People aren't violent. So free them. You have these stupid ass fucking judges. Oh, I don't want to throw everybody in jail. Just because the governor wants me to put people in jail that are fucking outside slapping social workers, stabbing people in necks, throwing fire on people. Bro, there was even a girl just in Georgia just recently. She just got corrosive acid thrown on her, life changing. You're minding your business, some random nigga comes out to cut, throw some corrosive acid on your ass. You think that's not taking some competence or sentience? He didn't use a gun to do it. He just did a violent, super violent crime, right? It's not about, it's because it's not about the guns. There's fucking maniacs out there. And the truth is, Benjamin Erickson is just one of the maniacs out there. And he took advantage of the fact that there's a ton of defensive people in a state, well, specifically here at a college campus, and shot everybody. But leftists and liberals don't want to accept the fact that people do evil shit. They don't believe war is real. They don't think violence should be real. They live in should be's, or what they think things shouldn't be like. No, war, death, killing, murder, blood. It's all real. Most of us understand that. They fucking don't. And because they fucking don't, innocent people die for no fucking reason. You're not helping anybody by restricting the guns. Everybody loses in that situation every single fucking time. And it's going to be interesting to see what Benjamin Erickson's motives were for fucking doing this. But at the end of the day, this is a competent guy who went and committed a mass murder, regardless if he was radicalized, if he just went insane. And once again, I remind you guys, insane, not like insane, not competent. I mean insane, because the guy's competent. Guys, he graduated college. He was working in the army doing cyber warfare. This guy knows what the fuck. He's a competent individual. This is not like a random crazy homeless nigga. This is a real person that that is competent, that did this. And how do you defend yourself against somebody who's competent like this, who's went insane? If you ensure all the people in the state are not able to fight against this. It's one thing if somebody's just evil and they're not intelligent, but when somebody's capable and evil, what can you do unless you give capable and good people the tools to defend other people? When you look at both of these mass shootings, when you look at the one in Brown, when you look at the one in Australia, Australia has insane strict gun laws, previous British colony, South Wales. So obviously they don't have the same rights or freedoms. They don't have the privilege. They don't have a right to bear arms in Australia. Very strict gun laws. So the two guys that were committing a mass murder out there too, impunity. Firing on people for 7 fucking minutes straight. Everybody's just running and screaming and nobody can do anything about it. It took a fucking unarmed guy to try to tackle somebody, risking his life. Basically a death sentence, running at somebody with a gun. Basically a death sentence. Whereas if everybody was walking around with guns, you think they'd be able to do any of this crazy shit? No. And I don't want to rant on and on and on about this, but I just really want you guys to understand how this shit works. And why obviously guns are not the problem. And restricting guns just causes more problems. Because niggas are going to come out of the cut from this situation saying we need to ban more guns. But it doesn't fucking work. Can we just be logical for a second? Rhode Island has an extreme amount of gun restrictions. Yet a mass shooting still occurred. In what world do you still think in your head, yeah, let's restrict the guns more? The guns are already fucking restricted. The dude came from fucking, it's like you literally have to ignore completely the facts of what happened yesterday to even somehow get to the conclusion, oh yeah, we need to restrict guns more. You need to literally be a retard. You need to be an absolute fool. You need to basically not know what happened. You just need to hear that there was a mass shooting and then just say we need to ban guns. But if you look at any of the facts of the situation, it's like the dude isn't even a Rhode Island native. He's not even a Providence native. He doesn't even live at Brown. He doesn't even live near Brown University, bro. He came from across the country to here specifically to do this. How do you think banning guns more here in Rhode Island or even in other states is going to work? Let's play it all the way out. Let's say we ban all guns in America. No one's allowed to have fucking guns. So you know who's going to have the guns now? The government and traffickers, criminals, and just going to be walking around with guns. So when criminals are doing some criminal fucking shit right in front of your face and you say, hey, stop that, boom, shot in the fucking throat. Shot in the fucking throat. Shot in the head, whatever it is. You can't do shit about it. You just have to listen now because everybody else is going to be scared. Nobody else wants to get shot. They just listen. Now the government can force whatever it wants to force on you. And now criminals, the worst fucking people, and the country can now force it on you. All the law-abiding citizens are forced to just submit to the nonsense. That's what fucking happens. You can't restrict the fucking guns. It never works. But this is the totalitarianism that liberals and leftists love. That's what they really fucking want. That's what the race commies they want. They want you to not be able to defend yourselves. They want you to just be enforced to listen to whatever they fucking say. And they will get the government to enforce it on you. That's why they said the government can have guns, but none of you niggas can have guns. Because I want to force my will on you. They are the totalitarians. They're the authoritarians. They'll say you're the fascist, you're the Nazi, you're whatever the fuck, but they want to take your guns. They're going to use the situation to say you shouldn't have a gun, even though you've never shot anybody and would never even fucking think about shooting anybody, ever. But they want to take your gun. They don't want to take the gun of the guy who's willing to commit fucking crimes. They don't want to throw the guy in fucking jail who's stabbing girls on trains or setting bitches on fire. They don't want those guys to go to jail. They don't want the dude who picks up his gun and starts deciding to shoot people, who doesn't care about laws or order, to go to jail. They want you to not be able to defend yourself. How more delusional can we fucking get, y'all? I'm just being real, like real shit. How much more fucking delusional can we get with this shit? So that's where I'm really at with the gun restrictions things. With gun restrictions, it doesn't fucking work. All it does is ensure through a matter of time, because I know people will quickly say, oh, well, Rhode Island, they had very low gun violence and shit like that. New Hampshire has very low gun violence, and they're the state with the least restrictions in the United States. New Hampshire, they have very low gun violence as well. So, mute point. Who cares if Rhode Island doesn't have any fucking violence? New Hampshire, you can have a gun, you can do whatever you want to do. Very lax gun laws. Very lax gun laws. But they also have a low gun violence. So what does that tell you? It's not the fucking guns. Boom. Proved it. We already have the fucking evidence that it's not the guns. But you put all the restrictions to Rhode Island and mass shooting occurs. Because I'll tell you one thing right now. Benjamin Erickson, he knew not to go to New Hampshire and try some shit like this. Once again, we don't know the motive. So let me not speak as if we know what the motive was. But based off the information that is presented to me and the conclusions I'm coming to, whether you agree or disagree, this guy came across the country. That we know. He's not from Rhode Island. So he chose to go to the place where he knew, oh yeah, I'm just going to be able to shoot people. No problems, no questions asked. So don't even let anybody sit here and convince you for a second that we need to restrict guns at all. I know a lot of my real niggas watching this shit, you already know. If anything, this should even just motivate you to have a gun. Because at this current rate, we have fucking lunatics running across the entire fucking country. Because speaking of the leftists and liberals, they don't mind violence. They're the ones that are interested in violence, funny enough. When you look at what happened with Charlie Kirk and shot in the neck, you saw all the niggas celebrating on TikTok. All over TikTok, they're celebrating like fucking crazy, right? Because they don't mind the violence if they don't like what you think or say. Why do you think they want to take your gun away? Because if you want to keep your gun, you're more than likely conservative. They think you're a Nazi too. That's why they don't want you to have a gun. They don't like what you think. They don't like that you're actually based on reality and you understand that violence and war and fighting and blood is real. You say bad things happen and they say to you, oh, well, bad things shouldn't happen. But what do we do when they happen? Well, I don't want them to happen. Well, what do they do? What do we do when it does happen? You see, they'll ignore it. Every single time you ask them, left is liberal. Why don't you have my gun? What if a bad thing happens? Well, bad things shouldn't happen. We should stop bad things from happening. But what happens when it does happen? Well, it shouldn't happen. I don't want the world to be like that. But what happens when it does fucking happen? And they'll never give you a fucking answer because they don't want to live in what's fucking real. And because you live in what's real, they don't want you to have a gun. They want to force you to live in their fucking delusion. They want to force you to live in their fucking delusion and be defenseless and let people fucking hurt you. Hell, if Veronio was fucking racist against that nigga who stabbed her, that nigga who stabbed her, right? And she's like, nah, I know niggas is violent. I know niggas is violent. She's like, nope, I ain't sitting there. She'd be saved if she lived in reality. If she pattern recognized, she knows niggas are committing fucking crimes. 13% of the population committing 50% of the violent crime. I don't care if I'm seeing niggas, I'm scared. Hell, if I walk on a train and I see all the white girls are like, oh my God, they move across the train, I'm like, damn. Good on y'all. Y'all smart as fuck. Like, you know what I'm saying? That was a good move. Even though obviously I would never hurt a fly, right? Unless I had to. I would have hurt Benjamin if I had a fucking gun and I was on that campus yesterday. I would have shot him in the fucking head instantly. The minute he picked up his gun, done. No questions asked, right? Because we want to live in what's real. We don't want to live in this fake world. So even back to what I was saying about Charlie Kirk getting shot, they don't mind political violence. Based off polling, even after he died, 77% of them were like, you know what, I'm completely okay with it. I think political violence is completely okay for pushing political agendas because they don't have morality, y'all. They're immoral. They don't believe in God. This secularism, this humanism, this atheism, they don't believe in God. They don't believe in a God like me and you. We're God fearing. We get our morality from God. They don't believe in a God. And because they don't believe in a God, where do they get their morality from? Themselves, y'all. That's where they get their morality from. That's how they pick and choose what they can and cannot fucking do from themselves. They're their own God. How do you think the devil became the fucking devil? He was committing the ultimate sin. He was becoming a non-believer because he wanted to be God himself. He wanted to write morality and decide what morality was. Because of that, he was banished to hell. The most evil fucking entity in existence is is exactly what these leftists and liberals and why they feel so soulless. That's why when you're around them, the way that they're so okay, the way they celebrated when Charlie Kirk got shot, it felt jarring, it felt demonic. Why? Because it's like you knew mentally seeing that, it's like these people they don't have a sense of morality anymore. They really just whatever they feel is correct is correct. Is that's what the devil does. That's how the devil operates. That's why it feels demonic. That's why they don't want you to have guns anymore. They don't like what you think. They don't like the way it makes them fucking feel. So they don't want you to be able to protect yourself. They think you're wrong to do that. They don't live in reality. They live in the feelings world. Whatever feels right to them is what is right. They think it's completely okay to murder somebody in cold blood if they politically disagree with them. You don't think as a man I can become a woman, you deserve to fucking die. No questions asked. They believe it. The polls show it. With the celebration of Charlie Kirk. No fucking lies here. And I'm just explaining all this shit to you so you guys understand. Like, this is where this rhetoric of, oh, nobody should have guns. It all comes from this, whatever I believe should be true is true. I don't want to accept what is real. I don't care about what is real. If people are violently dying because I don't want to accept what is real, then fuck them. Fuck them. Who cares? It's about me. That's why you can feel the selfishness. You can feel the demonic vibes. I'm telling you. Because they don't operate like me or you. We have a sense of morality. We know the difference between right and wrong because of God gives it to us. The Lord and Savior gives it to us, so we know. They don't know anymore. It's just whatever I feel like. It's quite honestly evil. It is evil. There's no questions or debates about that shit. It is fucking evil. And it is that evil, I'm telling you, that leads to situations like this. Restrict all the guns. Nobody has a gun. Apparently guns kill people. People are just whatever we want them to be. We force people to fit into our worldview, even though they don't fucking listen. Who cares? Innocent people fucking die. Let's restrict the guns more. They double down. You see? As I just showed you guys the facts earlier, in a state like New Hampshire, lax gun laws, still no gun violence, they will still argue that they need to ban the guns after this situation. They will still argue it. It's demonic. It's the doubling down. These people are never going to lose the position. Even if the reality and the facts show, we already know that. With the thinking, oh, I'm a man, I can become a woman. We already know that's where it is now. That's where we are. They double down. They don't actually say, you know what, this is stupid. They don't. They exacerbate the issue. They'd rather see the entire fucking country burn to the ground than admit they're wrong. That's the real reality, y'all. Because I want to be honest as fuck with you niggas, bro. That's the real reality. That's how these niggas feel or see the world. That's the evil that is currently walking around this entire country. That's the level of immorality. You see, I've been talking about maniacs and mass murderers or whatever, right? But a lot of people walking around in the fucking country today have the same level of a morality, but they just don't want to act on it. You know, maybe Benjamin Erickson went insane, but a lot of these trainees that be shooting up fucking schools or Christian schools, they've lost their minds. Like I said, they're immoral. They have no sense of morality. They can believe whatever is true is true. So they can kill whoever they hate. There's nothing, there's no barriers, there's nothing stopping you. You see, me and you have things that stop us. We believe in God. He's our authority who tells us what is right and wrong. He's the one that who allows us to feel guilt to know when we have sinned or done something wrong. They don't have that. That means these are insane people walking around. And when you're an atheist, when you're a secularist, when you're a humanist, you're just fucking insane. You don't really have a strong sense of morality, or if anything, it's soft. For example, I'll give you guys an example with this, and then maybe we'll move on unless I can come to more shit. Like, when you have no sense of morality, when you can't decide what is right and wrong, you can justify anything. And this is an example I commonly use on stream. For example, I could just be like, oh, if I'm an atheist or whatever, I'm like, you know what? We should be raping babies. We should actively be raping babies as they grow up. Why? Well, eventually they're going to have sex. So we should show them what it's like to have sex before they get to a point where they have to do it, because then they won't be nervous when they have to do it for the first time. See, that was crazy. That's wild what I said right there. That's fucking crazy. Me and you are like, oh, I bet you almost fucking threw up. You're like, nigga, what the fuck are you talking about? Right? But it made sense though. The logic I just used was very consistent. A lot of you guys would agree, I'd assume. The logic there was consistent. That's true. Eventually, if they want to have children or whatever, they're gonna have sex. So you might as well rape them now. Because babies don't know what's going on. So you're educating them. Because it's not like you can explain to them that you need to rape them. It's just what happens. And you're like, obviously that's fucking deplorable. We should never do that. That's immoral. But if I'm an atheist, how is it immoral? Because the only reason why you as a Christian or me as a Christian could tell somebody like that, hey, this is immoral, is because God does not say we should be called to do that. It's obviously wrong. You see, it's obvious to me and you because we're God fearing. But for somebody who's immoral, somebody who's atheist or secular, they don't care. Why should they care? They have their own sense of morality now. They just believe what is right and wrong. They're like, well, this is okay and this is okay. Whatever I feel like is okay. You see what I'm trying to remind you guys here? Whatever they feel is right is right. That's why they'll use, oh my God. That's why they'll use gay ass fucking terms, retarded fucking terms like my truth. Nigga, what the fuck is my truth? There's only the truth. There is no my. What do you mean my truth? There's only the truth. You see, they'll do whatever it takes to warp reality. Oh, people aren't violent. It's the gun. The gun gets up and shoots a mass amount of people. It wasn't the person who went from Wisconsin to Rhode Island with their firearm, more than likely specifically because he knew that this state has a ton of restrictions on guns, and then opened fire. It wasn't him. It wasn't Benjamin Erickson who decided to do that shit. It was the gun that got up from Wisconsin, went to Rhode Island, and opened fire on everybody. We must arrest the fucking gun. That's the kind of thinking you get when you have no God. When you're secular, when you're a humanist, when you just believe in whatever you fucking feel. That's what you get. That's what you fucking get. So that's the situation, man. It's a really unfortunate reality. Rest in peace to the two people who fatally lost their lives yesterday. And I really hope the 9 people who were injured, absolutely make it, because it's tragic, bro. Right before Christmas too, bro. Just getting done with the exams. It looks like, even based off what I've heard, Brown University canceled all their stuff, all their exams, all classes, everything has just been canceled. So it looks like all the students there are going straight into winter break, off the back of this tragic situation, bro. Absolutely fucking tragic, and it could have been avoided if somebody on campus had a fucking gun. If we had empowered heroes, there would have been no villains last night. But unfortunately, because of this deranged leftist immoral ideology, innocent people lost their lives. Nobody could defend them, nobody to help them. Police too late, everybody's too late. It's too fucking late. This is why you give your citizens the ability to bear arms. This is why you do it. And even before I completely move on from this, I actually want you guys to understand something too about firearms. You know, so we know that the First Amendment is the freedom of speech. George Washington and the boys, Constitutional Convention, they were like, look, man, we need to have freedom of speech. We escaped the fucking tyranny of Britain, where you can't say anything, you can't deny the monarchy, or you die, you get killed. Any dissent is snuffed out instantly. Musket to your face, boom, shot, dead. We escaped that tyranny. We've had many men that just fought and died for the sake of the establishment of America here. We fought against that tyranny. We threw the tea in the fucking sea. So how do we avoid tyranny? How do we assure that we don't have some authoritarian ruler over all of us? Well, we must have democracy. So democracy means everybody needs to have a say. People need to be able to speak freely, and not speak freely, because a lot of you guys will think, even when a lot of you guys think about, the First Amendment or freedom of speech, you guys think like, oh, just the ability to say whatever you want to say. You're just saying things, whatever. Well, in authoritarian regimes all across the fucking Middle East, or even in Britain back then, you could be saying things that the monarchy likes, that the dictator likes. You can say that all fucking day. So you have the ability to talk. So what do you mean freedom of speech if you could talk? Well, under the authoritarian regimes, under the dictatorships, if you said anything the dictator didn't like, if you said anything the monarchy didn't like, you die. That's why there was no fucking freedom, because everybody would be afraid to actually say what they fucking think, because they know they'll die if they do. So nobody wants to. So in truth, when the First Amendment was being made in this country to ensure democracy, the point was to protect speech that offends, that hurts, that makes people fucking angry. That's the point. That's why we created the First Amendment. That's why it's the freedom of speech. The freedom of speech actually defends hate speech, speech that is making people angry, critical speech of the government, of other people in the land you are in. That's what it's for. That's why we created it. But, well, okay. All right, George Washington, true. That makes sense. But hold on. If we're having people say things that make people angry, and when people are mad, they tend to get violent and want to hurt people, how do we ensure people have freedom of speech then? Well, we must give them the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. Because when you bear fucking arms, you can defend your speech. You can defend your ability to say whatever the fuck you want to say. That's the point. That's why you need a fucking gun. That's why we give people guns, to ensure they can say what the fuck they want to say. Because you can't say what the fuck you want to say if the minute you say it, somebody kills you. But if you know you can kill anyone who tries to stop you from using your First Amendment right, now you actually have the freedom of speech. That's what makes it free. You must defend your freedom. Independence is fought for, sovereignty is fought for. America was established after the American Revolution, not before. They had to fight first, and then the freedom was gained. So you only have the freedom of speech if you have the right to bear arms. If you lose the right to bear arms, you no longer have freedom of speech, because you'll be killed for any kind of dissent. The only people that will have the guns, as I said earlier, will be the government. Same thing that was going on in Britain. Or you're going back to square one. You're going back to fucking tyranny. Or criminals, immoral villains are the only people who will be left with guns. There will be no more freedom of speech. So that's the origin. That's why we can never fucking ban guns. That's why. Because if you ban guns, nobody can actually say what they want to say, and then you lose fucking democracy. Then we're not America anymore. You see how it all falls back? You can't defend what you want to say because you don't have a gun. Nobody actually says what they really want to say. That fucking kills democracy because nobody's being real. Enter tyranny. The only people who get to have power are the people with the guns. The government and villains and criminals are the only people who are going to be in the state that have guns. So now you're just going to have the government ruling over you and villains ruling over you. Where's the democracy? It's just tyranny now. It's just authoritarian. It's just a totalitarianism now. That's it. Might as well just go live in the fucking UK, where you're going to fucking jail over memes talking about Muslims or Jews or whatever the fuck. Might as well just go live in the UK. See what I'm saying? So anyway, I also just wanted to explain that to y'all too, so you guys understand why it's actually important. The guns are important, like the real origin. It's not just about the gun. It's not just about shooting people. It's about democracy. That gun, that Second Amendment, that right to bear arms, represents the defense of democracy and what America's been built on. That's why you need to have a gun. That's the point. So, yeah. Anyway,